Now to the latest on infrastructure talks in Washington. Let's bring in Republican Senator Bill Cassidy of Louisiana, who President Biden spoke with just yesterday before heading to Europe. Senator Cassidy, thank you as always for your time. Give us a sense. After talks broke down between President Biden and GOP Senator Shelley Moore Capito, he turned to you and a group of bipartisan senators still working to negotiate a deal. First, just give us a sense of your conversation with the president and where your group's talks stand today.
Yeah, so he spoke as to, one, thank you for having me, but he spoke as to what his priorities were, both in terms of the amount of money and the things that would be covered. He emphasized he wanted to get something done. He appreciated there was a bipartisan group of senators, and he laid out that which he wished to see included, and that was very productive.
And it seems that the prior talks broke down over two core issues, right? The size and scope of the plan and how to pay for it. Why do you feel like your group might have better success at bridging those major divides?
Well, there's a difference between a group of Republican senators negotiating with the White House and a group of Democratic and Republican senators negotiating with each other. If we can come to agreement on certain issues and then hopefully socialize it, if you will, kind of popularize it among our colleagues, then that signals to the White House is that's where the Senate can be. Democrats will buy into it and Republicans will accept it, sort of thing. You don't have that sense if the White House is only speaking to Republican senators. So I think it's been very productive having this based within the Senate.
Now, Democrats have made it clear that they want to pay for any spending by raising taxes on corporations and the wealthy. Republicans have been adamant in opposing any tax increases and wanting to pay for this by reallocating unspent COVID relief funds and instituting new fees. So how optimistic are you about the potential success of these talks if there are these fundamental differences on how to get any of this paid for?
We just need to pay for it in a way which is acceptable to Republican and Democratic senators. Now, Republicans clearly don't want to go back to the Tax Cut and Jobs Act bill. We look at the prosperity that resulted from the passage of that and do not wish to endanger that prospective once more after we're out of the pandemic prosperity. So if we begin with that, there's still things we can work together on. And I can say that so far in our working group, we've managed to do that.
Would you say that tax increases of any sort are a no-go, including the president's idea of a minimum corporate tax at 15% to help pay for this?
There will not be a minimum corporate tax to pay for this in this bill. Now, that is not to say that Democrats won't attempt to do that in the future through reconciliation. Believe me, you can look at the plans they have, and they're going to spend a lot of money. They're going to raise a lot of taxes. All I can say is that on this bipartisan deal, that's not part of it, and we do have it paid for.
On the scope of the deal, your group is working on a more focused plan on what's been called core infrastructure involving things like roads, bridges, ports, and broadband. But Democrats have pushed for much more, including spending on infrastructure to address climate change, for example. So can you get a deal through both the House and Senate that's just focused on core infrastructure? Isn't that really a non-starter for the progressive Democrats?
I can't speak for progressive Democrats, but what I can say is the president asked that there be an energy section. And so what I had done working kind of independently of the group of senators, and I've since merged with them, is to look at what the Republican Senate passed last year, Republican, Democrat, bipartisan bill to address energy issues, with many things in that passed with a majority Republican Congress and Senate, that precisely addressed issues of carbon intensity. And we brought that bill in, passed on a bipartisan basis, into this bill. Last year, we only authorized, which is we said you can spend money. This year, we actually allocate the dollars to do it. Briefly, it would include the SCALE Act, which would help build carbon dioxide pipelines so that you could sequester carbon. It would include financing for next generation nuclear energy, direct air capture, rare earth minerals, which are essential to making electric batteries. So we have a lot of stuff in it that was already passed that we funded, and I believe that meets the president's demand to have such issues addressed.
Senator John Thune said today, quote, "It's hard for me to see a scenario where even 10 Republicans vote for something that gets very far beyond where Shelley's discussions were with the White House," referring to Senator Capito and talks over new spending. But the White House rejected that plan. So again, how does this get the necessary votes that both sides can agree on?
Well, a couple things. I can't tell you how many votes I'm going to get, or we're going to get. We're right now in the process of speaking to colleagues. But actually, I think the energy section that is added to this bill is attractive to Republicans. Remember, this energy section passed by a bipartisan majority, but it was under a Republican Senate. And we're taking that and we're now funding those provisions. That's a Republican bill that is also kind of where the president is. So there is common ground there. And so the senators who supported that bill hopefully will support this bill. By the way, I'll also mention that the group of us who've been working on this met with Mitch McConnell, and Minority Leader McConnell said that he had an open mind. He wasn't shutting it down. He said he had an open mind. So we took that as encouragement.
Switching gears now, moving on to the pandemic. We've seen declining rates of vaccinations across the country and especially low rates in the South. Your state of Louisiana has the third lowest vaccination rate in the country, and you're one of 6 states with less than half of adults with at least 1 dose. How do you turn that around and convince more Louisiana residents to get vaccinated?
Well, as a physician, because I am a doctor, I truly think that you need to go back to the patient-physician relationship. It's one thing to go through a car line and to get a shot and wait over there for 15 minutes. But when you go to your trusted physician and you ask her, doctor, should I get this shot? I've had concerns about it. And she replies, yes, I think you should, because, and then she goes through the benefits of it versus the relative risks. Risks are very small. The risk of getting infected is very high. Risk of vaccination, very small. And then that's how you persuade people. I would go back to, we need to employ that physician-patient relationship, building upon the trust that they've developed.
And lastly, as you say, because you are a doctor, are you concerned that your state and the country can't turn the corner if we don't reach a higher threshold that'll help keep these dangerous new variants from spreading?
A couple things. We can see that the rate of infection, a positive test, of hospitalization, and a death continues to decline. And what is pretty clear now is that those who are previously infected have most likely, almost always, have long-term immunity, as if they had been vaccinated. So it isn't just those who've received a dose of vaccine, but it is also those who've been previously vaccinated, and that in of itself will create immunity. So the number of people who are immune is greater than the number of people who are vaccinated. So that's something that's not being taken into account. But the fact that still infection rates, hospitalization rates, and death rates continue to decline tells me that something else is taking place.
Senator Bill Cassidy, always a pleasure to have you on the show. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.